Hi, and welcome to the Phins podcast, the podcast that gets you closer to the game than the sheds. I'm Mitch, and if you bleed red, white, and gold, you're in the right place. Every week, right off the back of the game day, we're breaking down everything Dolphins, what clicked, what didn't, and everything in between. No fluff, no filter, just real talk about our boys from Ready. So whether you caught the game live, watched it back, or you're relying on us to tell you what happened, strap in, because we're fanatics here. This is Fins Up. Let's get into it.
Well, here we are on the other side of another victory, 22-0 over the Manly Sea Eagles at Manly as well. So, yeah, a bit of a interesting game. It was a pretty strong arm wrestle, actually. I wouldn't say it was one of our best performances. I'd say it's probably actually down there with one of the worst. But the positives to take out of it was that we kept Manly to 0. So that's a pretty good positive. But yeah, it was actually probably one of the harder games that we have played as well. In terms of the first half being such an arm wrestle to even just get the ball. Probably, 30 minutes in, I'd say, we probably had about 30 to 40% of the ball. So it was just constant Manly possession down our end of the field. The ref wasn't that good tonight. He was actually a bit all over the place. He was on the whistle a lot in the first half, died down a bit in the second half, and then picked up again. So yeah, there was actually just a lot of 6 again calls or ruck infringement 6 agains or 10-meter 6 agains. Or penalties for different situations. There were a lot of decisions in the first half that essentially forced a lot of pressure on ourselves. But yeah, I'll go through half by half where we're at. But the short takeaway is that we get the 2 points. It was a scrappy win, but we did keep Manly scoreless. We get 22 points. In our for and against. So yeah, we go over 100 points for our for and against now, so that really does help. And yeah, I'd probably say last week we were pretty much guaranteed that we're probably going to be in the finals. This week is just cementing it even further, and we're really starting to push for a top 4 position if we can keep winning, the last few games that we have for this year, while other teams slip, such as Panthers slipping last night. It means that we can have a chance to really potentially break into the top 4 and have a home, essentially a home final at some stage. So yeah, in terms of the first half, massive possession in favour of Manly. We started off looking extremely slow and a bit flat. We actually didn't get any points in the first half until we got a penalty 2-point conversion. I've got here that, again, the ref was constantly on the whistle. It's not until a bit later in the game, Jeremy Marshall-King gets tackled by Tolu Kola, and he notices that he's on the ground. Jeremy Marshall-King doesn't get tackled, sorry, but play the ball comes to Jeremy Marshall-King, and Tolu Kola is still on the ground, so he just runs out at the markers, and Tolu Kola doesn't get back on side, and gets a sin bin. It's a tackle he has to make because Jeremy Marshall-King was, probably 2 meters away from scoring. It was a professional foul. Then there's because we're now 12 on 13, our advantage 13. There was a dummy and run from Nikorima and the ref. And this is what I'm talking about when the ref was a bit all over the place. He sends it up as a no try, and his reasoning was he never saw it get to the ground. He doesn't even consult the touchy, and it's just lucky that there's a camera angle that clearly shows that Nikorima got it down, because that's one of those ones where if they didn't have a camera angle show the ball on the ground, because the ref sent it up as a no try because he was so sure that he never saw the ball get to the ground, it means that if there were no camera angles that showed it, it would have been a no try and they would have supported the on-field decision. So yeah, it was just ridiculous that because there was another point in the game, and I'll come to that in a second. But yeah, it was just the ref sent that try up as a no try. It was awarded a try, so that was good. We couldn't really find any rhythm in that first half. That's what I was seeing. We were a bit flat. We were a bit slow. I felt like Katoa really needed to, try and set the plays up a bit more. He looked like he was really missing. I don't know. Just I want to say Kurt Donahue, because Donahue was out tonight. And yeah, you wouldn't think that a bench, you know, kind of extra ball player, first receiver, lock role player could make much of a difference, but it probably actually showed tonight because even when Plath came on and Stone came on, they still looked a little bit flat. So I think it was definitely this position that Donahue plays where he comes into first receiver and just gives Katoa a bit more time. So yeah, it looked fairly flat. Fine Fuiaki gets sent to the bin. Connolly Lemuelu gets sent to the sin bin for essentially just this little pushback while he's trying to get up and play the ball. Like it's really there's nothing in it, but it's because the ref had given two six agains pretty much within that set, and one came from Herbie. He stripped the ball, but then the ref didn't say like, oh, just give him the ball back. He called it a penalty, so that was straight away a penalty. And then because Lemuelu kind of held this guy back a little bit, the ref just didn't have any of it, so he sent him off to the bin, and that was probably about 6 minutes before halftime. We still kept them scoreless in that first half. We go into the Sheds. I think it was 8-0 at that point. The 2 points from a penalty and the 6 points from a converted try. Our first try only coming through Nikarima, and an additional 4 points coming through Jermaine Asako. And we go into the second half, and same thing. We come out, we look a bit flat again, and just a bit, we kind of looked like we were just trying to make sure we get the set completed, finish the set, get to our kick, which is all well and good, but we have to notice when we are playing a team like Manly and we have good opportunities, we can't be just playing this timid style of footy. Like when we verse the Roosters in a couple of weeks' time, they're not going to play this timid style footy where they're going to make mistakes or let us just have the ball. They're going to attack every single opportunity they get. So we need to be a bit better. Yeah, probably about 20 minutes into the second half, we kind of get a bit more of structure. There's a big hit put on Selwyn Cobbo from Manly's fullback. And there's a bit of argy-bargy stuff, and Manly get a bit physical. Game starts to get a bit restless. Then Cobbo gets revenge. He hits this guy, and then Cobbo ends up getting a try, and it's this freak try. Like it just again reminds me of Greg Inglis, where he getting barreled over into the touchline, but he still manages to find a way to get the ball down. Like it's such a Greg Inglis like callback from what I could see, and like it looks like again me being 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, watching Greg Inglis play, about 10, 15 years ago, and you watch this big guy just go at anyone. It was awesome to see. Then and another so that's our try from Cobbo there. He somehow gets this ball down, and it's a great piece of individual play from him. Manly get down our end again. There's still again a lot more six agains, and I'll go through the stats in a bit. There's a lot more six agains, a lot more penalties in favour of Manly. They get a lot of possession down our end of the field, and Manly just can't execute, and they throw this pass. Asako intercepts it, but his old legs are a bit struggling these days because he gets downfield, but Garrick very quickly from the opposite side of the field catches up. But Bostock is there to back it up, and Bostock gets a try. Then it's fairly just back and forth for a bit again. And I think Osako then gets another one. There's this little play that Katoa runs, and it's a bit of a stop, start, throw, pass the ball. Hammer gets the ball, moves like midair, steps back in field, passes out to Osako, and he goes over untouched. All honestly, I think if we played like we did in the final 20 minutes of that second half, if we played like that for the whole game, and this has probably been more of a criticism of what some of the previous seasons have been from the Dolphins, they have struggled to put together this 80-minute performance that would rival other clubs that are at the top. Like our game against the Warriors was probably the first time that we put together a very good comprehensive 80-minute performance where we were in the contest the whole way. Some of the game against Panthers earlier this season, we probably should have won that game, honestly, if there wasn't a dubious hip drop call on Nicarima that sent him to the bin. But yeah, we're coming into this time of the year where, we do need to make sure that at every point we are putting ourselves in the best position to either get a 6 again in terms of a set, restart by putting it into their in goal and forcing them to do a dropout, or we are scoring points or making them work it off very deep in their own half. There wasn't a lot of that this week. It very much looked like we were just going through the motion, hoping that we're playing an easier team, so we should just get the win. And yes, of course, we did, but at some point the switch needed to be flicked, and it was probably about 20 minutes into that second half where it did. We're only up 8-0, but then Cobo scores, Bostock scores, and Jermaine Osako scores. So, and Osako again missed two conversions this week, so it's actually it's not his best night kicking either. It's almost like he doesn't need to score. Like everyone needs to try and score on his side of the field. On the opposite side of the field, because anytime he kicks it from this side of the field, he's been off recently. So, but yeah, let's just quickly have a look at the stats. So there were 7 penalties against us, 6 ruck infringements. Now, several of those penalties actually came off of 10-meter 6 agains given away, but then, Manly would drop the ball, or, they'd put in a kick or something, so they would class it as, technically it's a penalty, blah, blah, blah. 1 sin bin each. So in terms of who had the better refereeing calls, it was definitely Manly, and a lot of their 6 agains, they had 5, but I would say 2 of them came in the last 5 minutes when they were just, pretty much over the game. They're just laying on us, and we were just trying to get up to play the ball. Yeah, in terms of, we had 17 errors to their 14, 13 ineffective tackles to their 7, 29 missed tackles to their 27. Our defense was actually not good. 89% efficiency compared to their 91. So yeah, it's really just our attack was slightly better when we did have attack. That's what it really comes down to. It was they had 44 sets with the ball. We had 43, so they technically had the ball more, even though our possession percentage is higher because we technically held the ball for longer. But yeah, it's this weird game where, again, our stats don't represent that we should have won. If anything, it shows that it should have been a closer game. And for the first half, that stat line is true. But yeah, we got some good tries. Some the Bostock try was a bit of make your own luck. Osako, catches a lazy pass from I think his name's Joey Walsh on the Sea Eagles team, and runs downfield, and Bostock just backs it up. So it's kind of a bit of make your own luck and score tries where you can. Nikorima's try was just, dummy and go. So, yeah, bit of brilliance there. The one try that the Sea Eagles almost scored came through their left side winger, Hopewade, and the ref sent it up as a try, even though his arm was completely out. You didn't even need to wait for the replay to see that he probably went out. It looked like he went out live, and upon review, it very clearly showed that he was out. So I don't know what the touchy was there, if he said anything, because this ref didn't ask him when Nikorima went over for a try. But it was super obvious that it wasn't a try, and yeah, it was just because then even the Selwyn Cobbo try that he got, that freakish try, it got sent up as a no try. And it's like the ref has a touchy and his own conclusion to make. He can't just make his own decision and not consult the touch judge. He needs to actually ask them. And yeah, it just seemed like he just didn't really even care what the result would be. He just wanted to send it up, whatever he thought. So he sent up 2 of our tries as no tries. And the first try that Manly got, he sent up as a try. He was so sure, but it was very clearly out. So yeah, it was a bit interesting, to say the least. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up today. Like it wasn't that exciting of a game. Like it's not one that you would rush back and rewatch. Maybe watch the highlights. But yeah, I wouldn't really be watching this one back. In training and watching the film this week, the boys will sit there and break it down where they could have attacked better. But yeah, next week we have a good 7-day break, so it's been good the last week. We played last Saturday, and now we played Friday, so that was a good, decent, lengthy turnaround. Now we get a good 7-day turnaround. So Friday night, up against the Eels. It is our last home game. Unfortunately, I can't be there. I have plans that are on that night, but I'll be cheering them on as soon as I can watch it. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a great game. Wish I was going to be there, but if you are going to that game, hopefully they get the job done, and yeah, I'll be cheering when I get home and watch it. So yeah, as always, keep the Phins up, and yeah, let's go. We're going into finals.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Phins Up. If you enjoyed the breakdown, do us a favour and hit subscribe. Drop us a review and share it with a fellow Dolphins fan. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Do you have a hot take? Do you think we got it wrong? Discuss with us on our social media page at Phins Up Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back after the next game with a full breakdown, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Until then, stay loud, stay proud, and keep those fins up.